So today it was decided that we're going to replace the airflow potentiometer on Tim's M103 engine. I don't think it's actually that worn, but it's done about 150,000 kilometers, so it's probably near the stage where it needs to be replaced. But anyway, we'll take it off and have a look. This is what we're going to be using. This is one of the all too common Chinese replacements that you can get these days on eBay. That is a BAPMIC brand. So this is what the original looks like, and as predicted, there is quite a bit of wear on there. You can see the area where it has actually scraped through the black coating down to the metal, and that is not ideal. So this is basically end of life and time to replace. I will say that the M103 is a lot harder to work on than the M104, because there's the fuel pressure regulator and the idle speed control valve in the way, which block the lower two screws. And this, for illustration purposes, is the trimmer that you use to do the fine adjustment after you've got it actually in the ballpark and you need to use a precision flat blade screwdriver to get in there. Unfortunately, the first, second and third attempt to align it within the ballpark range were unsuccessful. But on the fourth attempt, I figured out a different method. So we're just test driving the M103 powered W124 after changing the worn airflow potentiometer. It's quite painful setting that up on this engine because you've got no room to work with the regulator and idle controller in the way there, or idle valve I should say. What I did in the end to actually do a rough adjustment was leaving the bottom two screws partially loose so I could move the entire thing while the engine was running, just to get it in the ballpark, and then do the fine calibration with the trimmer before sealing it over with sealant. And that worked a treat. Trying to get it in the ballpark by removing everything and then reinstalling it was a nightmare. There were 3 failed attempts in doing that, and then I gave up and decided, screw it, we're going to move it with the engine running. And that's what worked in the end. As expected, it's done nothing for the rough idle on this car. I'm still convinced that that's because the fuel distributor is not balanced properly by whoever the clown is that rebuilt it for the previous owner. That will get sorted out at some stage. Send it off with the injectors and make sure it's very evenly balanced, and then I think that will solve the rough idle on this car. But, you know, when it's driving around, it's perfectly smooth. And now with the worn out potentiometer replaced, Tim is convinced it's a little bit more responsive, and the surging is gone as well. Surging is something you'll notice with a worn out potentiometer. Anytime the contacts pass over that worn section where it's worn through the carbon coating down to the metal, it's going to get erroneous voltage readings, and your ECU is going to give you a bit of surging whenever it's in that particular area. And that area develops where the engine spends most of its life, either, you know, close to idle from cruising around, or if you're in a country where people just flog it everywhere at wide open throttle, maybe the wear would happen up the top end. But all of the ones I've seen in Australia, it's all near the idle area where it spends the vast majority of its life. Anyway, so this is a successful airflow potentiometer change. Didn't bother with a fancy, genuine German Bosch one. I don't think they even make them anymore. They're probably all made in China. I went with a BAPMIC one because that's what I had on the shelf, and Tim's going to replace it for me, as in he's used my new stock one and he'll give me another one in exchange. The job's done. And old mate Timmy here's just booted it, and she's running well. And is that a police car up there? I do believe it is. And watch, some emergency braking now. So Tim tells me it actually is a lot more powerful now when he buries his foot in the carpet. I don't know. I don't have a reference because I didn't abuse this vehicle like he just did prior to us changing that over. But yeah, if he's happy with it, then job's done.